Hi, this is episode 160 of Nuggets Dungeon Terrain. I'm Brett, and in this episode, I'll be having a second go at making a Deathtrap dungeon. This time I'll be using Modular Magnetized terrain. So the dungeon tiles are going to be the same dimensions as the last two projects. Because there's going to be a lot of pits, some of them I'm cutting laterally and making that 1 centimeter thick base into two half centimeter thick bases, removing some of the elements and then replacing everything that will remain. The 1 centimeter door sections are marked out with a slightly different pattern, and a cobblestone effect is used on the main tile sections. This is the objective room. It contains two water-filled pits with a small space in between. The first section will be crossable using a plank, but you'll have to leap the second section, and both of these water areas contain spikes. There's also two spaces on the sides that will contain traps, but more on that later. So this is just a super cheap 2-part epoxy resin. I've already experimented with some different washes, and while the paints are still wet on the bottom, I'm adding the epoxy over the top to see how it interacts. This is going to be an oily tar pit, and from it is going to be a whole stack of tentacles. So I start off by making some irregular patterns with the hot glue gun. Then these tentacles, which are baked polymer clay, are stuck into those different spaces, facing different angles and in different postures to make the overall pit look like it's writhing and extremely dangerous. Instead of filling this pit up with spikes or some kind of liquid, I decided to line it with the trophies of past victims to the Deathtrap dungeon. This green had actually dried out, so I put a whole stack of water in there, and this is the product on top of a dark green. This acidy effect kind of comes naturally as the different areas dry. There's even a couple of bubbles thrown in. Once there's plenty of green, I add some Mod Podge dimensional magic in a few clumps. It then disperses and some of that lime green paint bleeds into the clear area, making it look a little bit more interesting and natural. I ran out of the rectangular magnets from the last two projects, so this was a good chance to experiment with a couple of other options. In the end, I decided to use something similar to one that Quasi's bell tower had tried, which is to have the magnet on one side and something metal on the other side. After trying a couple of different household items, I decided to settle on a drawing pin. So I added a little bit of glue to clump up underneath as I pressed it in, and of course the spike of the drawing pin helps to hold it in place while the glue's setting. So it's at this point that you might be thinking, it's a death trap dungeon, where are all the traps? Sure, I saw quite a few hazards, but there aren't any traps, and that's where these brown panels come in. Each of these brown panels is a wooden panel that drops down and reveals a trap as someone passes in front of it. This is going to be a modular system with small magnets attaching them to the walls, and that's going to make up the next couple of episodes. So, the randomized trap cards are already made, and some of the traps already built, complete with the magnets on the back ready to clip on. I'm looking forward to showing you how these worked out in the next couple of episodes. Hope you've enjoyed it so far, and I'll catch you then.